Hello, Recti video. Today we're gonna take a look at the Open Ultra League now after the move changes, after basically everything changed in our Battle League. Here we have the Weezing with double kick, Sacred Sword, and also the Stone Edge on our team. In today's video we're gonna try out the Kartana here. Kartana has access to Razor Leaf, which might be kinda interesting, especially against the Shadow Swampert. And you will see the matchup, but also has access to the Leaf Blade and also the Night Slash. Razor Leaf, of course, will not generate a lot of energy, but you're gonna see that Razor Leaf might be a little bit cooler against some other stuff here. For example, this Tapu Fini didn't really like it and just decided to surrender. We see the next opponent having an Overquill in the lead here, which is going to be a pretty neutral lead against our Dragonite. Dragonite also now has access to the move Superpower, as you can see on this team here as well. So we basically have three different either new mons or move updates in this team here, which is kind of cool, as we can take a look at how much damage a Kartana does against the Shadow Blastoise. Can we farm it down before they get to an Ice Beam? Let's see if this is an Ice Beam, and it was an Ice Beam, so I guess you cannot farm this thing down. Maybe I should have shielded, maybe not, but I can now get energy with my Weezing, which might be a little bit better anyway. As we see the Overquill coming in here, we can go ahead, go for one Sacred Sword, getting at the shield from the opponent. We can go for another one, but I'm actually going to go ahead and let this move go through. They go for one Shadow Ball, it's fine. We can go for one more Sacred Sword. Sacred Sword is a Body Slam clone as a fighting type move, which is amazing. As we can go into our Dragonite and we get greeted by a Politoed and they decide to surrender. So far, so good, but it's not gonna stay as good as we're going to see as well here. We see a Giratina against us in the lead. We don't have the Leaf Blade on the Weezing for reasons. We want to have the coverage against the Talonflame that most likely will come in against you, but giving up on the Leaf Blade here will also allow something like, for example, this Nidoqueen to just hardwall you. Like, you have no move that can hit this Nidoqueen. But as you're the safe swap anyway for this team, you're going to be most likely kind of fine here with not running the Leaf Blade, even though Leaf Blade is the best move of Weezing. For this team, it kind of isn't. Maybe I'll make another video about Weezing, but then like with the Leaf Blade, because I think it might be even a little bit better like this. But here we're going to try to bait out the fire types, of course, for the Kartana, and this was basically the best Pokemon that we could find. Here we see a fighting type against us in the back there with a Scrafty, basically a hard counter team against me, and there's nothing that I can do here. I have to surrender there. The Scrafty, like in general, fighting type moves, as you can see against the Kartana, does a lot of damage. We see a Trevenant against us in the lead here. We can go ahead, go for one Dragon Claw, trying to get this thing low, and they actually gonna let this move go through. And as we got this pretty low, we're just gonna go ahead, swap into our Weezing, and we might be even able to farm it down with our fast move here as they go into their Nidoqueen, baiting this Pokemon out again. It's fine for me. We should be able to get to two moves here, two Sacred Swords. Both of them, of course, are resisted, but we can still do some pretty decent damage here against this Pokemon, putting him at around 60% health after those two what's called Sacred Swords. As we can now go into our Dragonite, we're going to try to get some energy off this Pokemon, and now go into our Steel type. As you can see here, this is single resisted Poison Fang, and it still does a ton. Like, Kartana is a very squishy Pokemon. It's a crazy glass cannon in this kind of meta, and we have to hope that we can get some right matchups for this Pokemon as we can farm on the opponent, as they can go to the Trevenant. I'm going to go ahead and go for a Night Slash here. They're going to shield this, which means they will be weak against me in the back. And we're going to shield this move from the opponent. We see a Shadow Swampert coming in, 5 Razor Leaves. This Pokemon goes down, we win the game. And that was kind of crazy. Like, 5 Razor Leaves to KO a Shadow Swampert in the Open Ultra League. I didn't expect this. If you didn't know, like, fast move damage teams alone are not as good in the Open Ultra League. Double Charm is a little bit better because you have a little bit more bulk on those two Pokemon as well then. But in general, like, the fast move beatdown teams usually take place in the Great League because you have less bulk, less HP, and actually KOing a Pokemon with 5 fast moves alone, 10 turns in total, is insanely rare, especially against such a dominant Pokemon like the Swampert. We see a Charm user here against us. We go into our Kartana, and I kind of regret it immediately. There's no shield here because I thought Empoleon double Charm it's going to be, but it turns out it wasn't. It was Empoleon, Ninetales, and the Mandibuzz. A very interesting team here. I think there's the same team basically available in the Open Great League as well. I think there's like a Zionic team for the Open Great League. Fighting to see it here, but also kinda impossible to win for me now, because even though we have a shield advantage, even though we have 2 Pokemon, my Dragonite is low. I can only go for 1 charge move here, and of course our Kartana will not be able to deal with any kind of flying type. If Razor Leaf is resisted, you are screwed with Kartana. There's nothing that you can do here, and sadly Grass is a pretty bad offensive typing. Like in general, there are offensive typings and defensive typings in Pokemon. This has nothing to do with Pokemon Go really. But Grass is, for example, a pretty defensive type, and so not really offensively good. The other way around would be, for example, Ice typing has a lot of weaknesses, but also does a lot of damage against something like a Dragon, a Flying type, or Ground types, for example. So that's more an offensive type. As we see a Drapion against us, we're going to try to catch this Crunch. In the Open Ultra League, a lot of them don't run Sludge Bomb, and we're going to bank on this, and we are right there. They don't run Sludge Bomb, we can farm them down, and we might have some play against whatever comes in. A lot of don't really expect me to have the Stone Edge, because it's not the recommended moveset, so let's see if this Boswell doesn't really enjoy this one. Let's see, the Boswell actually really doesn't enjoy the Stone Edge, and they're just going to get some neutral damage from me there. They expected me to have only resisted moves, and we don't have those. We have actually something that's neutral here, as we can go for 2 Sacred Swords, allowing us to get 1 shield and also get this thing very low as they swap out now into their Snorlax, and we still have our Kartana left here. Kartana going to completely cut down through this Snorlax here. We're going to go for 1 more Leaf Blade. We're trying to get this thing lower and lower. We're going to shield up once, but they have a Moonstone on the boss wall, and because this, it's going to be a little bit tricky, but they throw here, which is amazing for us, because now we can go into our Dragonite, farm this thing down, get to a charge move, and get to a charge move now as well against this boss wall. We had 1 shield left. Even if they had 2 charge moves, we will be able to get this Dragon Claw off, and we will win this game there. Was a pretty closer one than you might expect, as we see the next opponent having a Runerigas here against us. This was the first game, and we still had the Dragon Tail here, and I have nothing against the Weezing there. There was nothing that I could do against this Weezing with my team. Like, my lead loses against it, and both my Pokemon in the back are kinda screwed against this Pokemon. So Weezing, Galarian Weezing, definitely a hard counter for this team. There's not a lot that I can do here. I can still farm it down though, which is nice, but yeah, this is tough looking here right now. There's not a lot that I can do to try to win this game. We see the Runerigas coming in. We can go for 1 Night Sledge. We can hopefully get a shield here, but it's just an uphill battle at this point of time, as we can catch a move here, which is going to be the Shadow Ball on the Virizion, and my opponent actually decides to no shield here the Sacred Sword, which is kind of crazy, as you can see here, because this Sacred Sword could of course be a Leaf Blade, which would KO the opponent, but I don't know what they had in the back at this point of time. They go for 1 Shadow Ball, and they reveal that they have a Warrain in the back, which I guess is also a pretty decent Pokemon against this team. I'm pretty sure they would have been a little bit more screwed though if I had the Leaf Blade there, I think. I don't know if they would have definitely won the game. It would have been way closer, but the Leaf Blade, not only the Sacred Sword there against the Runerigas, but still a good game there. We see the next opponent having our Umbreon against us. We go into our Virizion, and we have, of course, a Talonflame against us. We try to go for the move there, but we were too late. It's kind of awkward to throw when you swap in, basically, because the turns are not even, not aligned, so it's a little bit tricky. We go for 1 Stone Edge. They're going to shield this move up. Now they know that we are Stone Edge, so we're going to shield the next move up as well, and we're going to go ahead and bait. We go for 3 fast moves here, as you can see here. We can go for 1 bait, and we can go for 1 more fast move and then throw our charge move, as we should be able to get to our charge move 1 turn before their damage lands, and this is exactly what's going to happen here. The Stone Edge comes through, and we're going to be able to realign, and not only this, we're also going to be able to hit another fighting type move here with the Sacred Sword against the incoming Umbreon here, as we see the opponent going into their Swampert, and they're just getting bullied at this point of time, getting Stone Edged, getting farmed down by the Kartana, and getting completely annihilated there. Good game to the opponent. That was kind of insane, to be honest. As we see the next opponent, we see a Dragonite against the Cresselia here. Cresselia is basically impossible to beat for this team in the lead scenario. Kartana hardwalls the Cresselia with every kind of move that has, but of course there are usually some Pokemon together with the Cresselia that will help the Cresselia out with this matchup, and then it's kind of basically impossible to beat this Pokemon. As you're going to see here, we can farm on the Machamp. We still have to shield here. This will be a Moonblast. This will KO us if we don't shield here, and we have to get at least some damage on them or with our Dragon Claws here. Let's see what's going to happen here. We're going to see that they Going to let the first move go through. We can go for another one. We're most likely going to get a shield here at least. And we do. And we can go for another one. But we're going to swap out in time into our Virizion. Let's see what they have in the bag. We see that they go for one Moonblast here. But they don't even have to swap. And they get the attack drop. Which is of course amazing. They don't swap out. We don't have Leaf Blade. So we cannot redo anything. They can KO us here. And they see. And they show us actually the Registeel. Which is funny. I can try to go for 2 superpowers. Just to see how much damage I can do with this now against this Pokemon. First one gets through. But the second one will not even get through as there was a CMP tie. I don't think 2 would have been enough to KO them either here, so even though you have now a superpower on the Dragonite, it's not always the best. We see a Dragonite lead here that's kind of interesting as we can win the CMP here, which is amazing. Forcing them to shield, but we're also going to shield up as well, of course. We have more attack, which is kind of weird because then they have to have a really good one. We see a Berserker and I kind of misplay. I should have swapped out already. I thought I can go for my superpower in time before, but I couldn't. And now we go for the superpower, trying to get the shield, and it all kind of goes downhill now. As we get the final shield from the opponent, we can go ahead and go for one Sacred Sword here with our Virizion. But sadly, this will not be enough to KO the Berserker, and this looks kind of tough to be honest. We see the close comment coming through, getting us to below half health. And we see the opponent coming back into their Dragonite. We can go for one Sacred Sword, trying to get this thing low. They are out of energy. We will be able to get this move through, and we will be able to farm down now. Seeing the final Pokemon being Empoleon, and we can go for another Sacred Sword. You see it bottom right, the test update, which means the opponent forfeit, and this is going to be a good game there. As we see the next opponent coming in here, we see the Dragonite against the Giratina. Giratina is horrible for my backline, so it's very good to face it in the lead there, as we can go ahead and go for Dragonclaw, but of course this is still not a very good matchup for the Dragonite, and you kind of want to play around this a little bit. You can go for the Dragonclaw here like me. You have to count the opponent's move. It's a 5-4 and I think 5 again, if I'm not completely, like maybe it's actually 5-4-4, but I think it's 5-4-5. It must be 5-4-5 to be honest. Yeah, it's definitely 5-4-5. Is it? I actually don't know. Let me know in the comment section. Maybe it's 5-4-4. Maybe I'm just wrong. But of course, we see a Cresselia again. And of course, we will not be able to do anything against us, especially with the future side here. We tried to go for the Stone Edge, but they went for the move way faster than I thought they would get there. And this will be able to KO me. Of course, we can go now to our Kartana. But I don't even think we would be able to win this matchup in this kind of scenario. And they have the perfect answer in the back with the Escavalier. We see a Zapdos against us here. A very cool Pokemon. And we see the Molten coming in. I could have stayed in there for a little bit and went for a fighting type move, I think, but I can just go into my Virizion, go for one Sacred Sword, and I will be able to just farm this thing down a little bit as they go ahead and go for a charge move, which is going to be the Ice Beam. I'm just going to try to get as much energy as I can now and go for the Sacred Sword. No, as you can see there, but they win the tie there. I don't think it was even a tie. I was a little bit too late. So as they just went for the Body Slam and just decide to farm them all the way down, will be very nice for us as we can now go ahead and go for one nice Stone Edge against the Zapdos coming in, and we can even go for another one as they can try to farm me down. I should have maybe went for the Sacred Sword here to get this thing a little bit lower, which would have helped me out a little bit more. So I would have got to another Sacred Sword as well. Definitely a kind of misplay there. I can go ahead now and go into my Kartana. They have a Registeel in the bag. Registeel plus the Zapdos is basically a perfect core, I think. Like there's nothing really that beats that core. So it's a very good core in general. And I should have just stayed in for a little bit. We get the boost here, totally unnecessary, doesn't help me. But I should have stayed in with my Dragonite. I should have went for one superpower. I should have taken a move. I should have then swapped into my Kartana. But in the heat of the moment, this didn't work out as I wanted to. And this is going to be also a good game, as we're now going to get Brave Birded by the Zapdos. And very cool that my opponent has a Zapdos. I'm still looking for the Galarian birds. I had several encounters already, and they're all flat because they were all like at 2600 something CP, which wouldn't have helped me anyway. But yeah, like they're basically impossible there. And I think this is the final game now. And we see a Scissor coming in with a Dragonite lead. So I basically already know what they have in the back, because this is my team. This is my team that I invented already for like the last, I don't know, 5 seasons or whatever. this team is always putting in some work for me, and I'm most likely going to showcase it again as well soonish. This team is just amazing. It's just very, very good. It's a non-XL team, a no legendary team, basically the best team that you can run. You have Scissor as a save swap, trying to get out the Pokemon that you are Pokemon in the back, which is going to be the SCAF, doesn't want to face, and you have the Dragonite in the lead, which is going to be able to deal with those fire types. So it's basically a perfect team, to be honest, and I just enjoy using this team so much. It's going to be my go-to team again, but sadly our Kartana basically has nowhere to go here, so we play with 2 Pokemon against 3, and this will not happen here. So that's going to be it for this video. Thanks for watching. See you in the next video. Have a great rest of your day. We're going to have some very nice videos coming up. I'm already excited. Leave a like if you haven't, and subscribe if you haven't as well. I hope you have a great rest of your day, and bye.